All right. Good evening to all of our virtual online folks. We appreciate you being here. My name is E.R. Anderson. I'm the executive director of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is the nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books, and Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. Tonight's feature is Elizabeth Michaud, and Elizabeth is an amazing poet who has been with us before. She was last here for our Poetry Month showcase last April, I believe. Okay. And so almost a year later, she's back to debut her newest poetry book. And we are really, really excited to have her here with us tonight. Her books are for sale up front. But before we get into it, we're going to get into it with Karen G., our hostess with the mostess, and Theresa Davis, our other hostess with the mostess. And all of y'all who want to read tonight. So thank y'all for being here. We really appreciate it. And I'm going to kick it over to KG.
Oh, now it's on. Oh, now it's on. Hi. We're on now. Yes. Okay. Amplified. Wonderful. Um, so this is I just scribbled this at 4 o'clock this afternoon. When exhaustion becomes stratified sandstone, when tired becomes thickened tree ringed with age, when the bed becomes quicksand, the hardest effort to leave, how are we supposed to find air? Grief sucks it from rooms. How are we supposed to find hope's eye teeth when our lashes are as salty as our wounds? Life goes on. There will always be something to grieve. That doesn't take away bills, work, baggage, history. Our healing is so slow and nothing moves as fast as it's wanted. We watch daffodils come up and there's not enough yellow yet to fill our spirits. What do we do when we are already demoralized and the fatigues we wear are not camouflage patterned with any territory we've explored before? Isn't a freeze response a path to sanity? Isn't fawning over loved ones better than ourselves? Isn't flight the safest way to sanctuary? Not when frost sets in. Not when your arms ache from an inability to let go. Not when planes are flipping over on runways or meeting helicopter blades on the daily. What's left but fight? But where are the gloves? Where are the mouths with teeth? Where's the hope? Can I just sit and feel helpless for a minute before calling the machinery or stoking up the batteries and canned goods and stocking up? But the world won't wait. But the radical embraces slowness and vulnerability and rest. My teeth crave cake and coffee, sweet company between molars, a softness to bite and chew before the next scream comes, before the next doom scrolls over me. And then I found this old piece, really old, mold, blue cheese, moldy old. But I was actually looking for this other really moldy old poem that I wrote so many years ago about like how do people know when to leave? How did my ancestors know when to leave? When they were starving, I guess. It's like what were they? But then I've also found this one, which kind of answers my hope question, just this memory, because I am this old. Alles ist jetzt möglich, which is Everything is now possible. I remember where I was as others remember disasters and befores and afters. My roommate's lips moved, my eyes focused on the lacy edge of her bedspread, the white leather puffy of her gigantic Bible peeking from underneath the dorm room covers. I rushed to find all night television news. The loops of people dancing, drinking, chiseling away at once was an iron curtain. Before the market interests of sidewalk pieces spray painted and sold for tourists. Before the prettier, artsier slabs took world tours in museums. Before all the translations and revisions burned into celluloid, boiled through layers of translation, before every politician and politician's cabinet opened to take credit for it, it was the people. The people who marched with candles, groups deciding not to spy or listen on their neighbors anymore, any day people deciding that enough was enough, that it was too much with the tunnel plans, the blueprints for crossings, the splatter marks, the police eyes, the birds throwing themselves against barbed wire and cages. This proved revolt was still possible. What had been grayscale and secret, sand and solid into concrete, fissured, cracked open, fell. From static rose trumpets, car horns, and Beethoven. I remember this. This exuberant feeling coming from people. Everything is now possible. How iron now. How looking on turned silver. Back when voices made a difference. Super old poem. The list is here now. We got the list. Right on. And next is Theresa motherfucking Davis.
Hello, everybody. I stole my son's hat. I believe he stole it from me first. So. Mine now. All right. Um, so I am doing my first show of the year at Dad's Garage on Saturday. There's a all black comedy improv group called Blackground. They used to be the dark side of the room, and now they're Blackground. And I'm gonna do a poem, and then they're gonna try to comedy improv it, but I always fuck them up because I can be funny too. So I've done I was workshopping this poem here early last year, late last year, like in December. I think I did this poem for a show in December. This is the poem that I'm gonna do for them. I haven't read in a minute, and it made me kind of emotional when I did it last time. I'm gonna do it again, but it's okay. I'm okay with my feelings. I feel joy. Let me tell you, I have watched the Kendrick Lamar halftime Super Bowl thing twice a day since it happened. It's my joy. And then I follow it up by listening to people have all the regrets about what they did in November, and I'm like, Um, and then I create spaces for people to make art, and that's how I'm holding on to my joy um, in the next 4 years. So yeah. So I have some flyers that are out there, and I have some here of the programs that I do at the Arts Exchange. For instance, if you have a hankering to get your ass kicked in Scrabble, come see me Saturday. This I be challenged. I challenge Mayor Shirley Franklin to Scrabble. She gonna show up one day and it's going down. I challenge everybody. I love Scrabble, and I love being in a position to create programming about things that I love because it's like I'm not at work. I'm beating your ass at Scrabble. Okay. Come. I come here sometimes, and when I do, I plant my back to the earth, eyes aloft. I search the skies for art, for inspiration, for beauty, for you. I almost always bring a book of poetry. I read a few lines, let them marinate, attempt to soothe my soul, and invariably my eyes close. I catnap, I doze into dreams, and this time we are in deep conversation. Some world peace and flipping tables, type shit, blowing bubbles and giggling like the girls we are, getting loud about how all the ways we will disrupt this world with art, we swear. And the words are so saucy, we throw our heads back, our voices at the sky while daring the moon to kiss us on the mouth. We stand, a precipice of intention and innuendo, eyes iridescent, catching our breath in our hands, releasing them as echo in hopes they will come back to remind us of our brilliance. Then you interrupt me the way you do. You say, we are so fucking old for this. And I say, who the fuck are you calling old? Our hands on hips, not our own, not a care in the world. And I watch the pulse at your throat, hands reading the beat of your heart under palms drenched in the all of us suds swimming at our feet. And you say, you missed this part. And because here we get to do this, exactly this, I say, I missed this part too. I mean, I may have whispered it, or maybe I just had the thought. But when the nachos appear, I know you love me. I think to ask a question. When I turn to speak, you put your hand across my mouth, throw raspberries on my cheek before whispering my ear. Remember that time in that very, very bad dive bar and that very, very bad pickup line that ended with us dancing on our backs? It's my favorite song, and I play it over and over again. And I'm not sure where the bubble wand comes from because of all the naked, but I roll with it. Then you are blowing bubbles at my face, each pop a sting of missed kisses, a reminder of joy, a reminder of hands, a reminder of snark and soft, a reminder that dreams have the ability to cleanse. You know, I come here sometimes, and when I do, I plant my back to the earth, eyes aloft. I search the skies for art, for inspiration, for beauty. I sometimes bring your book of poetry, read a few lines, and let them marinate as if I haven't memorized each one, and invariably, my eyes close. I catnap, I doze, and we are hiking in the mountains. I inhale all the fresh start, spinning in circles, all sound of music. Julie Andrews stop suddenly and say, wait. But you hate hiking. You smirk, roll your eyes, put your hands on Virgo hips and say, bitch, this is your dream. Besides, I'd rather be on the beach. And then we are there, knee deep in the ocean. You breathe in all the fresh, then complain about your swimwear like I ever had a chance to get it right. We lie on our back, black mermaids in harmony, floating serene. And you say, when we come here, I can swim. And I do not say that you have been swimming through my blood since we met. And I do not say that I have not dressed myself in ocean for years. Then you yell at me, get out of my head, and I don't, the way you know I can't not when we come here. And every time I come here, I plant my back to the earth, eyes aloft, search the skies for art, for inspiration, for beauty. I recite your poetry, invariably close my eyes, doze, and dream. And I say, hibachi? And you say, yes, always hibachi. I roll my eyes and you call me a hater, and I smile because it's true, I'm a hater. And then food flies through the air and you catch it with your mouth, eyes closed, and I say, that's hot. And you hum. And I roll my eyes and say, not hot, but like heat hot. And is it wise for you to close your eyes while food is aimed at your face and you say something about faith and just believe it? And I point at you and yell optimist, and you point at me and yell pessimist, and we laugh like girls because we know we are both. Then we are at medieval times eating food with our hands, and you say, we are such animals. Then we are at universal, then we are in bed reading poems to each other, critiquing style. Then we are back in the ocean, except this time I have chosen a bikini you deem passable, like I could ever win while winning. Then we are at Universal Circus, where you clutch my arm and your invisible pearls and whisper, shout, I see black people. Then we are in bed. You yawn big, wrap your body around mine, and these montages of us when I come here bombard my thought, and sometimes I can't figure out if I am fucking with myself or if you are haunting me like you threatened, promised, like love and all the things when we thought we would both live forever. And I know it's not me. I know without a doubt that you are delivering on your promise to haunt, which makes me smile because you never lied to me when you were here. You the angsty Virgo and me, the Gemini, splitting herself in two, and I come here. And I know I'll find you all spitfire, gorgeous, and alive, replaying conversations every May, every August, dressed up in wordplay, in rainbows, in memories, a reminder of joy, a reminder of hands, a reminder of snark and soft, a reminder that dreams have the ability to cleanse. Oh yeah. Thank you. And this is one I'm still trying to work on. It's tricky. I do a lot of political writing, right? So it's hard when I'm living in times where I'm like, I, 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 I actually already wrote that poem. Pretty good. Oh, I wrote that poem. Oh, it kind of like messes with your creativity in a way to where you don't know where to stretch, which is why I also do writing workshops at the Arts Exchange twice a month. And I will have cards that you can take with you, and you should come and join my classes because I am experimenting on you as much as I am experimenting with myself. But some of the stuff is really, really good. Like I've come up with some really interesting prompts, and I'm trying to think differently. Where I'm still writing about revolution, burn this shit down, but it's just couch nicer. It's more palatable, maybe. This is called Fire and Fabrication. This is one of the workshops that I did in December. When you spoke of alarms, I was unaware of the distress down the line, the waves crashing on shores, the earthquake of bullies, the lies unspoken that would separate us to a forever place of forgetting. The angst so present in your brown eyes, my favorite feature on full view, the thing that drew me to you first, your voice, a smile behind curtains, clinging to late night rotary calls, landlines interrupting party lines every Saturday night. Our sweet teeth committed to Krispy Kreme confections, the hot sign, a beacon, or a declaration of love, we could never decide on which one to agree upon. Learning we wore the same size in clothes cemented our friendship, doomed to cinders, a quick change before and after school, a deciding that jeans suited your curve, a handy lookout, a soft smile under harsh lighting, a co-conspirator, cataloging glimpses of freedom, knowing the whole time that freedom has never been free. We never spoke the thing, never uttered the lie omitted. We just set alarms to warn us before agitation and disquiet sparked flames of fear and your sudden disappearing. We were never late until we were. Never not without a backup plan, extra clothes in lockers, the gym bag under the chair, none close in our time of need. We will not play ourselves in the movie. We will not relive the last time we spoke, the last tears we shared over trepidation and panic, the way you last spoke my name as if it were forced down the neck of a bottle flung into an ocean never to be heard again. When you spoke of alarms, I didn't hear the warning siren for the fire that would not be sated, the rage of religion spewing from fathers' mouths, all the control hoisted over a body he would easily discard so completely. I mean, after all, it's not really a fire, is it? If the burn is controlled. And this was a prompt that was like about like a memory you have of a relationship that ended differently. So I was friends with in high school. I was friends with a Muslim girl named Maya. And she dressed in full everything, and we got to be real friendly. And so we came up with a plan. We were going to Brown High School before it became Brown Middle School, and we would catch the bus and go to Krispy Kreme. She would change into street clothes. We would go to school, and then we would do it again on the way back home. We got into a fight at school. It's a funny fight. I tried to drown a girl in the toilet. I almost went to jail. Okay. This bully thing, we got into a fight, and we both got detained. I won't say arrested. We got detained, and it was about the time. It was around the time of the Atlanta missing and murdered children was happening, and they had this thing where these kids are being missing, but they could also hold you for 72 hours without calling your parents, which was so completely weird and warped, right? And so my mom actually worked at the school. The punishments. And so I was released first, and I could hear her crying and like just flipping out because she knew when she got picked up, she would not be wearing what she was supposed to be wearing. And yeah, that was literally the last time I saw her. Like I got out, my mom sent me to St. Louis for a year to get my life right. Bad choice, but this made me more radical. But I never heard from her again. And yeah, so that was one of the and it came out of this like really. It became more intense as we talked about what we were doing or we were writing. So I kind of like what I got out of it. Yeah. So yeah, please come and let me experiment with your brain and my brain at the writing workshops that I do at the Arts Exchange. And if you want a card from me, I have some here. There are some out there. And I'm going to get into this open mic list. And Naasia, did I say it right? Oh, you didn't hear that. We're going to go to the next person. That never happened. Etch a sketch. There we go. It's gone. All right, Olivia. There you are. Y'all give it up for Olivia. Okay, you want to wait for her? Okay, that didn't happen either. Etch a sketch. All right. Kate. Kate? That's you? Yeah. And you want to wait too? We can't all wait. Oh, wait. Naasia, are you prepared to go now? Y'all give it up for Naasia.
Hi, y'all. I'm Naasia. I am vice president of Agnes Scott's Calliope Poetry Collective. Thank you. And so actually, our like overarching club department leader, Leanna, she suggested that we come and support you guys. So you're going to start seeing students come show up, yes. And I'm here with Olivia, who is also on our exec board. Okay, so I have 2 poems. They're each from one of our writing sessions. Today's one was about rage, and then I'm going to do one about gender as well. Loud chewing, pen clicking, outdoor voices, inside. Cold showers, wind chills, folks who just can't be along for the ride. Foot tapping, lip smacking, talking out the side of your mouth and out your ass. Apple alarms, oily, undercooked food. Hypocrites. Bitches that can't fight. Tight pants, backaches, and Twitter fingers, dog shit on the sidewalk, cops with too much free time. Niggas on the MARTA making eye contact. That face my mama makes when she says, "Don't talk back." Nail scratching cheap polyester sheets, almond milk, LED headlights, white bitches with locks. Y'all, don't piss me off. And this one's about gender. It's called They and Them versus Me. Butch stud, trash taker outer, guy on bug duty, handyman, helping hand, lock picker, gas pumper, door opener, cargo pockets big enough for you to leave that purse at home, strong arms for hugging and holding, comfortable shoes so I can go the extra mile, bare face so I have the freedom to cry and laugh and wipe the day's dust off my face. Big tits squished in a binder. Don't ask me if I'm a woman or a lady or a girl. I've never liked those words. Women are supposed to be refined. Ladies are supposed to sit properly with their legs crossed. Girls aren't supposed to like dirt or bugs or bones. You're not allowed to help move chairs in class or be tug of war leader or be loud and blunt or sit wide or be interesting. Well, too damn bad. I hated etiquette class and crossing my ankles. I'm a butterfly father and a praying mantis mother, with bones on my bookshelf. I used to be really bad at being a girl, so I got better at it. Perfect curls, long skirts, flawless makeup, pretty smile. Quiet strength, boy lover, boy conqueror, boy killer. I used to be really bad at being a girl, so I got better at it. And after the perfection, I hated it. So I gave it all up. Traded my long skirts for cargos, got rid of my makeup. The bugs never minded much anyway. And boys, I was always the most interesting part of those relationships. Anyway, maybe I just like wearing their clothes. I am my mother's daughter and now my father's son. So am I a woman? I still don't like that question. The closest I've been to being a real woman is kissing a lover goodnight. She has perfect curls, wears long skirts, and has the prettiest smile. The only way I am a woman is in the way I love them. Am I a woman? I hate that question. I'm a dyke. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Now y'all ready, Olivia? Yes. Thank you for coming up.
So I'm also part of Calliope with my Asia. So this is my rage poem that I wrote like an hour ago. Okay. I'm at the Rager. Vibrations up to your knees kind of party. Squeeze your friend to death kind of party. I'm at the Rager. Rager in the park. The sidewalks only mimic my heartbeat. I'm at the Rager. Rager party in my sleep. I kill those that cough too loud, and those that killed whole worlds, whole peoples, my children. I'm at my own house party rager. Girls in just boxers down their beers, spit and throw the bottles at the wall. The sight of our thigh muscles flexing as we stand from the chair shows me just how many big doors we could kick down. The old neighbors out the window rage to us. Our rage is too loud. We invite them over. They come with their canes swinging. We yelp because it's a rager, and what else are we to say except, come on in, let's fuck the world. And then this is my poem from our meeting about ancestry. All I know is my ancestors whisper my name in the way they say it. And not very often, but sometimes they speak up from my feet when I stomp. Well, I wouldn't say they call me witch. Maybe they say girl with the yellow teeth, or the one with the fruit stains, or the bad clouds got her heart. My ancestors meet me at the beach. When I sink my head under, they feed me through polluted waters. It's too few words and too few feedings. I search for them in the rocks outside that barber shop. Pull up grass in the moss settled between the road signs. Bugs. Some kind of ancestor. But where are you people like me? Who are you all that scream witch in the midday sun? The river of our oceans is the only place you go, the only together you care for. Let's feast on the ocean bottom, in the dark where you shove bread down. Thank you.
So I'm gonna invite one of y'all email me. I will create a promo code so you can get into all of the shit cheap and or free. But I'm doing Writing Out Loud, which is a poetry weekend in April for National Poetry Month, and we have workshops all day on Saturday, and then we have like a performance, like giving shout out to the person who started the literary programming at the Arts Exchange, Malkia Mbuzi Moore. And then I'm doing a slam thing, and I'm giving away $1,500 in money First place is $1,000. And I would invite all of you to come and take my money. If I can't win it, you should win it. So, invitations to all. So please email me, Teresa@artsexchange.org. Kate, you're up. Did anybody who just came in want to sign the open mic list? Yes? All right. I'm going to bring it to you. All the way to the stage, y'all clapping.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kate, and I moved here in September, so looking forward to attending these more. Some of the poetry that I picked out tonight is from last year. Some breakup poems. My love is not to be conquered, but met with peace and ease. As a stream becomes a river, becomes an ocean, a bath in the sun. Drinking it up and rubbing it into my skin, surrender. I imagine a buoy, floating and lilting with the tides, a gentle tug, then a sink and slack. Oh, but will the line break? Who will hold down the fort? Lost at sea and shipwrecked, then buffed and repurposed in an old garage at the helm of an artist, hopeful, refreshed and loved again. Will she remember the ocean, the stain of salt amidst the grain, curated or captured? I'd rather be lost at sea. This was the morning after it happened. I guess I thought I'd wake up relieved, decidedly sure, but grief, sadness enshroud me. Like Harry Potter's cloak, only instead of invisible, the painful parts are highlighted. Raw and seen. Is this what it fucking took? To realize how good this was? That you had it with me, that you had it made with me. A pint-sized package of grief, I'd imagined. How cute. This pan overfloweth. Fat drippings burned onto the bottom of an oven. Singeing and smoking. Who knew you could smell it, taste it? Acrid, angry. If I grieve what wasn't, would it ever be? Can you hold someone accountable for expectations that were never defined? Impact versus intention. Temp check. We're done. I'll read two smaller ones more. Here I am in the magic dark, tiptoeing across my tender heart, blood oozing onto the carpet, a lake full of love, palpable in the pads of my feet, soothed and yet singed in pain. Might as well be a murder scene, visceral and raw, the gore of grief. How can the tears keep coming? Face salted with the moments I yearn for, the truth I've allowed to surface, the lessons I've learned too late. Too late for us, anyway. I served you my heart, fresh and fervent, aching to beat together with yours. But it became crusted, dry and dull, dejected, aged beef, marbled with the mystery that leads me away from you. All right, I'll read one more here. This is really fun. Thanks everybody for sharing. I'm really enjoying everybody's poems. I'll mention I was a farmer back in South Carolina, so this was a poem also related to the breakup, but in inspiration of the land also that I was tending to. I rescued a bird today, a brown thrasher. She was trapped in the high tunnel, panicked and panting. After several attempts, I swooped down and cocooned her. She had the brightest golden eyes, her head cocked from side to side as I strutted her down the aisle. Disbelief and gratitude, awestruck by the simplicity and honor. I led her to the exposed sky and took another look at her yellow beads, explored her feathers and touched her toes. Thank you, I said. Then I laughed. Hadn't I saved her? Why, yes. And off I flew.
Thank you. Lovely. First timers, double dose that. Applause, applause, applause. And next we have Ryder coming up. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm actually going to use that guitar, but I have. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I'm actually just going to read two poems that are both pretty short. And yeah, I kind of just want to like let them speak for themselves. Heartless harpies grifting gold, eternal Tartarus they sold to feed their reckless greed. They need atone, so we inject a battle axe into the Ouroboros, make it bleed. The angels feed on blood and bones, screaming swords. The seeds we sow through freezing stones, the trees we grow. I found an old black cat in the weeds of a forest of dreams. She told me not to worry because this world's not always what it seems. She'd be whoever she thinks we need, and she'd bleed for anyone. She'd carve our names into the sun and run away because the light burns her eyes. But you'll still find her if you wander through the night. And I do actually want to say a little bit about that one. Was written about a friend of mine that I met when I was doing activism. Some of you may know about the Weelaunee Forest here in Atlanta. Yeah. So I was doing work there, and I met a friend of mine who was also an artist and an activist. When I was literally wandering through the forest in the night, like when I showed up there, I hadn't been there for a long time, and I was like by myself, and I was like looking for people. And I found her, and it was this really special moment. She went on to be one of my best friends, and we've done a lot of stuff together. And I've kind of lost contact with her because she, as the poem said, she run away because the light burns her eyes. It's like she kind of got overwhelmed by everything going on, which is like totally reasonable. So she, she's been kind of out of it, and I've been missing her. So I wrote that as like that expression of just what she meant to me and how I, it's like we could come in and out of each other's lives, and I feel like I still we still keep, every now and then we touch back in with each other. And so that's kind of this idea of like wandering through the night, always like, hoping to run into her again. It's like, yeah.
Thank you. All right. And our last open micer, unless somebody just walked in and wants to be the last open micer, Fabulous. No, that's the feature. Oh. I was like, okay. All right. So I'm gonna have Karen G come up, and you have the bio, right? I don't have the bio. All right. So Karen G is gonna come up and introduce our feature. But I have a question before we start. Do college students have to do volunteer hours also? So here's the thing: if you volunteer to come to the arts exchange, you get all the stuff for free. I'm just putting that in the world. Share it with your group. and then y'all can come, and then I can beat you at Scrabble while you're volunteering. Karen G's going to come and introduce our feature.
That's so funny. Fabulous. And I almost wrote fabular in reference to your poem, actually, but that would have been. So, okay, now we're ready for feature time with Elizabeth Michaud in celebration of the bones in the garden and other things found there. So we just had thrashers and cats and forest of the dark and us. I'm curious about our storyteller here and what she's found and writes about. This is a varied offering interweaving pain and passion and folklore, like cream dissolving into coffee. This is her second collection of poetry, and she grounds her work in truth and verve. It's a great word. So please welcome up, like lots of applause, for our fabulous feature.
All right, hey y'all. Thank you all for having me. Thank you to Charis Books for having me back. I didn't do a bad job last time, I guess. So I'm Elizabeth, and I'm here because I have a new book of poetry out, and I like to use poetry to tell stories. Way back when, and I told the story before. I'm pretty sure I told it here last year. You know, I had this dream that I wanted to be the great novelist and write my own version. But over time, I realized that I'm lazy and I'm impatient, and I just don't have what it takes to write that long novel. And I was in the process of writing one, and we needed a poem for something. And I was like, oh, you know, I started realizing I can tell a story using poetry with all the same elements. There's plot, there's characterization, all that crap, but I can do it really fast, and I'll be done, and I get that quick high that I like, and then I can move on to the next one. So, and then it just became a thing. I just started writing. So, like I said, I do like to tell narrative poetry. My poems aren't very, very long, but I generally try and have them pack a punch. And I do like to rhyme, as well as do free verse. But I know rhyming tends to be kind of passe. Everybody looks at it kind of passe. But I love it because it's very succinct, and it requires a special kind of skill, kind of rhythm, and so there needs also to be a level of care taken, so it doesn't come out sounding like Mother Goose or Dr. Seuss. That was a rhyme, right? But and the other thing though I know is that it has to have some kind of weight. That also helps. That matters a lot in order for it to move away from that and really have an impact. And I only mention all that because the first poem I'm going to read comes from the book, The Bones in the Garden. It carries the title, and it's a heavy poem. It's kind of dark. And I'm reading it also partially because it is Black History Month. And before somebody decides to get rid of it, I want. Oh, sure. Thank you. All right. And so this collection in particular, over time, I realized my two favorite things to write about are love and Black history. So it's not quite a match, but I mean, it is what it is. So the first one that I'm going to read is The Bones in the Garden. And the other thing I would say, this one was inspired by a prompt, because I also like to write with prompts a lot. And so this one in particular, we had three things that we had to do. We had to use the phrase, tell no one. It had to take place in a garden, and it had to have an air of mystery around it. So I kind of pulled from our history, and I came up with this one. So this is The Bones in the Garden. Tell no one of the bones buried deep within the garden, bones of Black men dead and gone that lie in rest forgotten. On this which we deemed hallowed ground, their plight and death unknown, no tombstones mark their graves or names, no record in old stone. Tell no one of the men whose lives were lost for nothing. Their dark skin affronted those who thought their lives could not mean something. They dragged and beat and burned these men, burned them to the bones. Then they discarded their remains in this garden they now call home. Tell no one of the tears shed here in this old garden, a flood of grief and cries and wails among weeds and flowers rotten. No justice waiting for these men, their killers unknown and free. Their loved ones suffer to never know peace or tranquility. So tell no one of the bones buried deep within the garden. Let them remain there undisturbed, the mystery forgotten. Remember only they once were loved by family and in folklore. men who once stood strong and proud, now they are no more. So, okay. So as I go through it, this one in particular, because the first tile, because the namesake was the bones in the garden, when I was trying to organize everything, I realized, well, we're going to start with the bones. So these poems are, the first couple are grounded in Black history and our story, so they can be kind of heavy. And then we have the garden where things get lighter. But for a few minutes, I'm going to keep on with my poems for Black history. And so the next one, it's not as heavy, but it's still a little bit deep. And it's one of my favorites. This one was also inspired by a prompt. And the prompt, one day I was just bored. I wanted to write something. So I went to go look, and they were like, write a poem about coffee. And I was like, what? Coffee? I could give two craps about coffee. I don't drink coffee. So I was like, I was really annoyed. But they also wanted us to use a particular form called pie. And I'm not like classically trained or anything. I was like, all right, this is what the directions say. And this form, pi, requires you to write a poem using the first 16 digits of the formula for pi. So, like, the first three is 314, right? So the first line has 3 lines, the next line has 1, the next one has 4, 1, just to get to 16, okay? And in playing with that, I came up with this poem because I was also trying to figure out how to make it less saccharine. And so I came up with something. So this one's called The History of Coffee. The coffee they drank was cultivated by my ancestors, their Java-colored skin condemning them to the plantation fields for profit and for morning ritual. Men like Creamer took espresso women and made mocha latte children, and their jealous vanilla wives scorned them all, spitting them out like old brew gone bitter, cold. Black hands picked coffee beans united in fate. They were but for the pleasure of their masters, for service, for consumption. Their stories percolate with every cup. All right, so that's the history of coffee. Okay. And I'm going to read one in honor of my mom because she's my biggest cheerleader. And if she could be here tonight, she would be here. She's in. Okay. And my mom is Haitian. My family's Haitian. My family's Haitian. And this one, again, was inspired by a prompt that said that we had to start and end our poem with the line, remembering that August night. So I was like, all right, I don't know anything special about August. So I just went online, and I did not realize that the Haitian Revolution started on an August night. And so, because when she read it, she's like, oh my God, this is the Haitian Revolution. So she was really excited. She really likes this poem. And so for her, I'm going to read this one. This one is called Machetes in August. Remembering that August night when, with our machetes, with our anger, and with our determination, we didn't have to cut sugarcane or harvest coffee anymore. Rather, with our machetes, we could cut a path through mountain, through jungle, to the plantation houses, to the slave masters, and start a revolution. Remembering that August night when, with our machetes bathed in the blood of the oppressors, we wielded the power to seize our freedom and stand as men. Remembering that August night when our machetes united a people to rise up in strength and forge a new nation. On the shoulders of our ancestors, we stand while remembering that August night. All right. So, yeah, for my people. And I'm going to switch just for a second from one book. So I have a few more in here. This is my other book, Fire Dreams. This one has a lot of poems grounded in love. It starts off that way, but I have a smattering of poems throughout that talk about Black history as well. And so one of them, I actually read this one here last year, but I love this poem. And I love this poem. And I will say, this was another one that was inspired by a prompt. I think my best poems are written when I don't like the prompt. I don't know why that is. And this one's, I'm telling you. So I don't know what it was, but one day, again, I was bored and I said, well, let me see what the prompt is. And I was really annoyed because I was waiting for this prompt, and it was write a poem about a tree. I was like, what? A tree? What do I care about a freaking tree? So I was like, no, I'm not writing this. And I just left it, but it was just a vague thought in the back of my mind. So I live in Henry County in Stockbridge, and there's a street, I'm pretty sure, I mean, it says it, so that is named after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s father. So I think his father was born there. Okay. So there's this little street, and they built some kind of bridge. So before they built the bridge, we had to take a detour while they were building it. So I had never taken a detour, and so there was a side street. And one day I said, let me go drive through the side. Well, let me see what's in this neighborhood. I mean, the minute you cross into that neighborhood, it feels like 1965 Georgia, you know? And it's just very old. And while I was driving around, I came upon an intersection where there was a church. And then in front of the church, there was this big, old, beautiful tree. And I do love trees. So I was like, oh man, look at that tree. It's so mature. It's beautiful. The branches were real strong. And while I'm looking at it, I just had this gut feeling. It hit me like a brick. I was like, they hung a black man from that tree. I just knew it. I felt it in my bones. And so when I saw that tree, I thought, oh, they wanted us to write a poem about a tree. I said, I got your poem for you. Okay, so this one is called Old Tree. Old tree, dark tree, sinister tree. I know about you and them secrets you like to keep behind leaves so green and flowers so fresh. But that ain't nothing but lies and falsehoods. Because when the spring goes by and that winter come, I see you for what you are, for what you done. That's right, old tree, with your branches bare, with your trunk scarred. You can't hide behind your leaves. You can't hide behind no spring renewal. Because I know about you, old tree, what you done, what you hung. From branches so strong, they held the weight of a man, an innocent man, a black man. Oh yeah, I remember, old tree, how you used to give us shade, used to keep us from the sun when we made love, and you pretended you was our friend, our tree. But you was his tree, that white man's tree. And when that white man come with that rope so thick, that rope so strong, you gave him a branch. You gave him an arm. You let that white man steal a life, old tree. You let him take my love. That one. All right. So there's that one. And then we'll do one more to kind of modernize. If I can remember. Then we'll switch tone. You look at these pages a while and you still don't know where stuff is. It's weird. This one. You Talk of Freedom. Okay, so this one, You Talk of Freedom. I wrote this one. Again, it was another prompt, and the title of the poem had to be You Talk of Freedom. And I've got this friend. I grew up in Texas, and I got a friend who's a Republican. You know, we argue politics all day long. And he used to say this, like, you talk of freedom, this, that, and the other. And I was like, all right, whatever. So the minute I saw it, I knew what I was gonna say. So here we go. You talk of freedom. You talk of freedom and the rights of men, about how they trample on your rights and suffocate your liberties. Down with tyranny, I hear you say. But I can't even take a jog through your neighborhood, and I can't kneel and protest, and I can't play with a toy gun or eat a bag of Skittles while wearing a hoodie on my way home. Yeah, you talk of freedom. You cite the laws of the land. The founding father said this, and the founding father said that. But I ain't free. Not when I got barbecue Becky in my face and permit Patty playing police. Pool Patrol Paula won't leave me in peace. Yeah, you talk about freedom. You carry your guns and you make your demands, waving signs of discontent, highlighting your torment. Live free or die, you bastards. Live free or die. But I ain't got no choice. Not even when my hands are up, or when I can't breathe, or when I don't have a gun. Yeah, you talk of freedom. You cry about being free. But your freedom and your liberty, that don't apply to me. There's that one. Okay. All right. So that's a sampling of our Black History poems. We're gonna go to love because my other favorite topic is love, lost love, and all this other stuff. Grief, regret. Try not to live in regret. All right. So, this first poem I'm gonna read is for someone very special to me, and it's something very special to me. So this poem is called "The Secret of These Pages." All right. And I was trying to make a play on the devices that we use when we write. So I hide you in my poetry, in my simple lines of verse. Between the subjects and the adjectives, you're the stanzas in which I'm immersed. Only I can see you, because no one knows you're there. But I breathe you in with every word, in my joy and in my despair. It's how I keep you close to me, despite the distance that's between us. I feel your touch, take in your scent. Here, there's nothing to divide us. Find yourself within the titles, in the chapters, on the page, wrapped in silky language. You're veiled in my wordplay. I secret you away between the spaces and the lines. It's a clever little camouflage, and no one will know the signs. You're in the curve of every letter. You're the foundation of every word. You're the syntax and the rhyme scheme, and I will not be deterred. And if you listen closely, even tone does play a role. It whispers my intentions, that my words would touch your soul. The ink from my black pen also plays the clandestine part. It's my accomplice, my abettor, in choosing words to steal your heart. And when from earth I am long gone, my poems will still remain. These verses of my love for you will through time forever reign. So I'll hide you in my poetry, and I'll keep you close to me, bound together by these odes for all eternity. All right. And we will keep on going with love a little bit. This is another one. This one's called The Oceans Know of Love. This was a cool prompt. This one was a cool prompt because we had to use 5 words. They all had to start with the letter P. One word had to represent color, one had to represent place, one had to represent a proper noun, one had to be a flower, and one had to be something else. But of those 5, all of them had to start with the letter P. Um, so this one is called The Oceans Know of Love. Oh, my heart, let's leave Paris behind with its grand pretensions of romance, the Seine, the Eiffel Tower, cobblestone streets, tiny bistros, petunias, and primrose. What does a city know of devotion? Rather, come charter a vessel with me, and we'll sneak away to the ocean, for its waters know of love. Under periwinkle skies, our passion will rise and fall, with the highs of tumultuous waves and the lows of calm waters, as profound as the sea floor where Poseidon himself presides. And in this vessel built for 2, on these emblematic waters, I will be yours, and you will be mine. That's that one. And then we'll do one more love, I guess, and then I'll switch. I don't know how much time I have. So I read you a poem about coffee. 2 seconds. So that day when I saw the prompt, I was like, I don't want to write this. This is stupid. Blah. But then I wrote this script. But then at the same time, I wound up writing another one. I went from hating the prompt to writing 2 poems. So one was about our history, and one is a celebration of love of a Black man. So this one was called, but I still follow the same format, that pie formula. So, but this one is called My Coffee Addiction. My cup of coffee is your dark espresso skin against mine. I inhale your luscious aroma like chicory and breathe you in deeply, my king. Your body is the cup I wrap my hands around, and your tongue is caffeine, making me jittery, accelerating my heartbeat. Your soft breath steams my ear. I'll refill my cup with you again and again, savoring each drop of my special brew. You are my liquid strength in my morning ritual, my coffee addiction. There you go. All right. And then last, I love I got other random some they're just random. They're just randomness. So I'm gonna read one that was again inspired by a prompt, and we had to title the poem Behind the Green Door. I was like, all right, what are we gonna do here? So this is just a random story, but I just put it to verse. Behind the Green Door. There's a secret that awaits behind an old green door in an ancient house of wood along the rocky line of shore. It calls me from afar and beckons me to come, that I would discover treasure of an unimaginable sum. Or perhaps it's something darker, ills horrid and misbegotten. Are there ghosts behind that door, souls murdered and forgotten? Perhaps there's nothing more than antique furniture and dust, with cobwebs in the corners and grisly spiders run amok. Behind the old green door may just be an empty room, where loved ones once did gather, their spirits lingering in the gloom. Will I risk to take a chance to disturb this hallowed space, to unveil the myth and legend that time would not erase? Or will I let the secrets rest and remain there undisturbed? Let the whispers and the blather run their course while unperturbed? Oh, but interest is a temptress, a seductress of high degree. My curiosity is piqued, and only knowledge will set me free. So I'll chance to make my way, resolve the mystery within. Behind the old green door, forgive my trespass, forgive my sin. All right. And then I'm going to go back to the other book. periodically I write about grief. And so there I have this one poem that I wrote years ago. I was thinking about my dad. My dad passed away when I was 18. But that grief heals, but you don't forget about it. And so one day I was thinking about my dad, and I just had this thought, like, what is it like for the ones who pass on? What is life like for them? Or what was that like? And so I came up with this poem, and I call it Grief of Ghosts. It's one of my favorite ones too, actually. All right, this one's called Grief of Ghosts. In the quiet of the graveyard, in the quarter light of moon, fresh earth has yet to settle and descend upon a tomb. She slips the bounds of earth in search for one she missed, in search for her beloved to free herself from this abyss. And another soulless flitter, he wanders gently by. He's looking for his child to whom he'll sing a lullaby. And brother was a soldier, he carries still his gun. He's looking for the enemy, but here he finds there's none. And the ghostly form of girl, wrist still crimson from her wounds, who in life did dream of death, but now the darkness will impugn. And further in the graveyard, under trees of pine and oak, other souls do gather and wear night as their dark cloak. They whisper to each other, and the air will catch their grief. The living hear their cry as moans and wails in night soft breeze. They're looking for their loved ones. They're looking for their lives, the ones that they believed in and those they've left behind. And in the quiet of the graveyard, in the quarter light of moon, they sing a song of sorrow, of lives gone much too soon. So, good on time? You good? All right. So last, I never get to do these. Each one, Five Dreams and In the Bones. I love to do poems about horror. When I thought I was going to be a writer, I wanted to be the next, like female Stephen King. So I do love a good horror poem. And I have this thing. Slowly over time, I've developed this thing where I want to write like a poem for an iconic horror creature or whatever. Okay. And it just depends, but sometimes it's something fantastic or sometimes real, because real horror is obviously scarier. People are obviously scarier. So, but I love, I don't get to read these very often. So they're meant to be kind of fun. I mean, they're still meant to be a little dark, but I guess one, and this is low key my homage to Edgar Allan Poe. Not that I write like that, but the good news is, the cool thing about this poem is that one of my children, when she was in high school, she read it and she won. So that was kind of cool. And she did a whole thing with it. It was a whole thing. But anyway, this one's called Intruder, right? This is called Intruder. There's a knock upon my door, despite the lateness of the hour. From this sound, I turn my ear and step away a little further from the stranger who awaits me on the other side of the door. I ponder his desire, but I do fear his intentions. So I leave the door unanswered. I wish for more modest conventions, but the knock does come again with a force a little harder. I pose a question to the stranger, but an answer comes forth not. Just a greater sense of danger. Fear begins to seize my heart, and the knock becomes a pounding, a multitude of fists. Door trembles, shakes, and shudders. What is this curious twist? To the man I ask a question, who does beat down my door. He seeks an entry to my home, to shatter my abode. I shout a question of this man, or perhaps he is a beast. What it is his heart demands, what it is he wants of me. But no answer yet is given, and the pounding is a clamor. I feel a shudder in my heart. My speech begins to stammer. I shriek a question to the creature. Won't you please, sir, leave me be? I seek peace and solace on this night. I do not wish for company. But the man who is a demon, as his intent from hell must come, refuses my request. My words to him are merely jest. And the banging does continue till a crack shows in the door, till the frame once strong is shattered, and I feel my breath no more. Through my door, which is now broken, through the threshold he does step. I now stand in utter terror. I'm loath to hear his manifest. A knife gleams in his hand, and he holds it up so high. It shines with menace from the light, and there's evil in his eyes. I beg and plead for a response to my question from before. And as I scream a desperate prayer from some help from this dark strife, he looks at me and does respond. I've come to take your life. Okay? So my kid, when she did it, she had a plastic knife with her. She was, that was really funny. So there's that one. And then I wrote this other one about a werewolf. And this was just a fun thing. I know this one was based on a prompt. This one, I can't remember exactly what the prompt was, but it started because of a prompt. But regardless. This one is called Ballad for the Werewolf. Slowly, slowly, I creep, into the wood. I seek, the goddess, the maiden who presides over night. I'm drawn to her essence, her light, her light. So I creep, the time has come to worship the moon. It's begun, it's begun. Onto the rocks I climb, to howl at her. It's time, it's time. A transformation, a change, a shift from man to beast, so swift, so swift. A transformation, a shift, a change. Gone is the human, only instinct and rage. She gives me power, oh might, oh might. So quickly I steal into night, I seek my prey, magnificent feast of tender flesh, and I'll eat, for now is the time that I creep, through the dark wood, and I seek, So, yeah. And I don't know what else y'all want to hear. Okay. Let's see. Actually, how about, okay, you know what? So the title of the book is called The Bones in the Garden and Other Things Found There. So when I was organizing it, I had the idea. I was like, okay, the first chapter will be called The Bones. Second one will be called In the Garden. And the last one is Other Things Found There. So I'll read the last one, Other Things That Are Found There. All right. I walk among these tombs old that vie for my attention, that tell the stories of the dead as their ghosts demand recollection. But other things are found here beyond the sorrow and the pain. I look closely and discover a quiet beauty does remain. There are treasures to be found among the graves of this old garden, butterflies and fireflies and memories forgotten. Behind the twisted gnarl of trunk, near the crumbling stone of tomb, honeysuckles grow and fill the air with their perfume. Amid the thistle and the brambles, a fountain still remains. The stone is cracked, the well is dry, but still it conquers its domain. An ancient tree where lovers carved a pledge of love eternal. Sweeping branches with longish arms hid acts that were nocturnal. The wind still carries echoes of children laughing among the grasses, and here some antique bottles that held honey or molasses. An ancient swing still sways in a languid, hopeless breeze. Rusted chains and fragile frames squeak a tune of melancholy. A ramshackle wooden dwelling, its walls covered thick with vines, guards this hallowed ground as it stands the test of time. The past is but a window of tomorrows of yesteryear. The remnants mark a simpler time before death took those so dear. And as I walk among these tombs of old that vie for my attention, I see other things that are found here too, for marvel and revelation. I step among the graves to pay homage to those long gone, while still I note the joy and hope of tomorrows to come along. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, I wanted to say one thing. Shout out to the lovely ladies from Agnes Scott, my daughter, class of 2022, the red class, the Incredibles class. So I'm real proud of her. So I love Agnes. I can't say enough good things about it. So, but that's it. That's where we are. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it.
So our next open mic is on
March 20th, 1 month. It's a special one. Do you want me to explain it? Yeah. So the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence is an incredible partner of Charis, and they have a group called Sister Stories, and it is a group where survivors of intimate partner violence and domestic violence come together to share their stories. And they had reached out separately to be like, hey, can we do a special open mic night the week of Cliterati? And I was like, no, because we have an open mic, but you can come be part of our existing open mic. So what we're going to do is have a fundraiser as part of our Cliterati open mic. So it'll be a regular open mic at the beginning. So if you want to come read, please come read. Might be like slightly briefer than normal, not much. And then we'll have 8 poets from their group read and tell their survivor stories. And there'll also be stuff for sale that the participants in that group have made. They make all different kinds of like crafts and clothing and stuff like that. You can also just learn more about the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence. So that's also another great place to volunteer and intern, by the way. They have a great internship program. So yeah, I hope y'all come back for that. we are gearing up for a huge April of poetry events. W.J. Lofton, who is a great Atlanta poet, has his poetry book launch March 25th at the Auburn Avenue Research Library. So a lot of good stuff coming up. You got anything else for us? Take cards, yes. And so Elizabeth's books are for sale up front. We got lots of other poetry books too. Of course, Theresa and KG as well. So yeah, thank you all so much for being here, and we will see you next week. Hopefully next week, but definitely next month. Stay warm, stay dry, take care.